Alright, welcome back to round two. That was an exciting round one. We've got Board Golden playing his bug list, and he actually splashed red using Deathrite Shaman and Cydia Brass. And Josh Clayton playing Junk Humans. Now, Eric, tell me about this Junk Humans deck.
This thing is just crazy. You would not expect it to be a vintage deck. You're talking about cards like Mare of Averbrook, Mistcutter Hydra, Knight of the Reliquary, cards that seem like maybe they'd find a way in Legacy, but how do you make it work in vintage? And what you have is Cavern of Souls to make them uncounterable, and Thalia to make it so it's even harder for your opponent to interact, and even goes a step beyond that and goes with Grand Abolisher. So it's a very interesting list, a lot of humans, a lot of attacking, 2 points at a time, and then sometimes in huge chunks with the Mistcutter Hydra and the Noble Hierarch fueling Exalted triggers.
And what does Oath of Ghouls do exactly?
It recurs your creatures. It's actually by Brahm, one of my favorite artists, and it's the precursor to Oversold Cemetery, and it's basically the Oath of Druid cycle, but for returning creatures from your graveyard. So if you have more creatures in your graveyard, you're getting some back.
Okay. And he has the Knight of the Reliquary here so that he can sort of tutor up certain lands. Looks like he's going to be mostly looking for like strip mines and wastelands.
Oh, absolutely. Those plays are very strong versus a crippled mana base. Once you're already attacking them with things like Thalia, to really pin them down so they're not able to play a lot of spells in a turn and just make those creature beats really matter.
Out of the board, too, he has a Caracas in case he's staring down a Grizzlebrand or some other legendary monster.
Yeah, that's a huge problem for a deck like this. Grizzlebrand on his own is just amazing versus it, even without being able to combo out by drawing a bunch of cards. Just a 7/7 lifelink flyer is a problem. Now, he can potentially go over the top of that with a gigantic Mistcutter Hydra or a gigantic Knight of the Reliquary, but that's going to be really difficult to do.
That's going to take time, and a 7/7 flying lifelink on turn 1 or 2 is not really going to give you the clock, the amount of time you need to set up that kind of over-the-top play.
Now, you'll notice this is not an unpowered deck. This is not an attempt at a budget deck. This is really just trying to attack the field from a different angle. He has the full set of Sapphire, Jet, Ruby, Emerald, and Pearl, even off color mocks, and so he's looking to really stick something like a first turn Thalia or Dark Confidant with consistency. I mean, Mare will eventually start adding up, but usually you want him to be pumping your other humans as well. If you can land one of those other guys in the first turn, I'd imagine your win percentage goes way up with this deck.
Now, out of the board, he's got like Abrupt Decay, Stony Silence, Grafdigger's Cage, Serenity, Rest in Peace, Caracas, Nature's Claim, Swords to Plowshares, Tormod's Crypt. What is Ophiomancer?
I believe that's the new 2013 Commander card. It's a human. It's a 2/2. And at the beginning of each upkeep, you put a 1/1 Death Touch Snake into play if you don't already have any snakes. So what that does is makes it so a deck like Workshop, which it seems unfair, but the reality is they're just attacking with Lodestone Golems and friends. So if you can put a Death Touch 1/1 in front of it every single turn, they're going to have a hard time breaking through.
Yeah.
So I think that's a hedge against the Workshop decks. Plus, it's a permanent generator, so something like Smokestack or Tanglewire isn't going to be very good against you when you're able to constantly keep spitting out snakes once they die.
Okay, so it looks like his board is pretty much just tuned to the shops and the graveyard-based strategies, with just a little bit in there for the control matchup, like Life from the Loam seems really good in a control matchup.
Yeah, if you can grind someone out that way, you're going to be in good shape. So it looks like Josh has been able to land a Dark Confidant here early.
Turn 1.
Turn 1, that's exactly what the deck wants. Start outdrawing the opponent and make it so they have to answer each of your threats.
Now, Borg's fetching down to 19. Maybe his red splash is for a lightning bolt. Looks like we're gonna see a lightning bolt here. I mean, it's not gonna. It could be ancestral. It's not gonna be a Deathrite.
And there's the bolt. Yeah, bolt is just so versatile right now. It's even good against workshops. That's one of the things with cards like Swords to Plowshares in the past is when the workshop decks were more creatureless, they were really bad draws. Now they're going to use Lodestone Golem a huge percentage of the time that they're winning games. So cards like Lightning Bolt and Swords to Plowshares are just in a fantastic space. That's a Mistcutter Hydra coming in for 3. So even though he bolted that first turn threat, he's still taking damage here.
Does that thing have haste too?
Oh, haste all day long. It's a Jace killer. I mean, it can't be countered. and a great number of the creatures in the format that would like to chump block it aren't able to.
Borg just picks him up. He got his only land wasted, it looks like, and he can't deal with the 3/3. What? No, does that have like pro blue or?
That is pro black.
Pro black?
No, pro blue. Sorry, Miscutter's pro blue.
Pro blue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, the blue decks in Standard started splashing Doomblade, to my understanding, to be able to deal with the thing.
Both players going to the sideboard. Now, from the junk humans side of the table, probably just like Life from the Loam, maybe Abrupt Decays. Probably not, though.
I think you feel pretty good about bringing Life from the Loam after seeing that. Now, from Josh's standpoint, he doesn't necessarily know what Borg's playing. I think Borg recognized that he had a very low percentage to win that game, and I think he's hoping, playing against a deck that is, in a way, a hate deck, if you can avoid giving them information unnecessarily, they'll have a harder time bringing stuff in. That could leave Josh either over sideboarding or under sideboarding here. Now, he is the beatdown in all likelihood, so he's most likely going to be committing his early mana to threats and trying to put pressure. But it's not going to be as disastrous as, say, a control deck bringing in the wrong answers. But we'll see where this goes. Yep. I think Borg looks like he's got a pretty good idea what he's facing, and he's able to sideboard much more effectively here.
Definitely not bringing in the red blasts.
Yeah, he is reasonably confident that there's not going to be anything to target with red blast here. Though Dark Confidant, I mean, it can be tough. If he's not familiar with this list, he could be scratching his head a little bit in terms of exactly how to deal with it. He knows he has to deal with creatures, so anything he has to deal with that, Toxic Deluge, anything like that, is definitely coming in.
The only land that Josh played that Borg saw was a Tropical Island and a Wasteland. So Borg might think that this is a base blue deck, and I'm trying to figure out why he put Tropical Island in this deck over like a forest. Is it just to make his fetch lands better? Because I'm not seeing any blue spells at all.
No, I don't see any, and I actually got to talk to Josh. He said he did have to stretch a little bit with the mana base to get it where he wanted it. I think a basic forest probably would have been better. But yeah, he was kind of scrambling around.
Well, you can't fetch a basic forest with Flooded Strand, but you could just play Windswept Heath, right?
I mean, it was a card availability issue. So
okay.
I do hear you.
Okay.
Ideally, Tropical Island probably not going to make the cut here unless there's going to be some blue sideboard card that you're really interested in running.
Yeah.
I mean, Time Walk would be great in a deck like this.
Yeah, Time Walk. And I mean, you might as well play Ancestral at that point, too.
Absolutely. Though Ancestral in decks that can't protect it is probably the worst that it's ever been. I'm certainly not saying I wouldn't play it. I probably would. But in a historical context, now we have cards like Mental Misstep. Misdirection is back in the format.
Yeah.
So it's not quite where it used to be in terms of any type of budget deck would be better if you splash blue. If you're keeping a hand because it has Ancestral, I mean, that very well could get countered and your hand is total garbage at that point. Much more likely than 10 years ago, where the only thing that was going to hit it on turn one might have been a Force of Will.
Do we see Borg take a mulligan? Kind of missed that.
Yeah, I was gazing at this crazy humans list there, so...
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty cool.
Now, we've seen Josh play a lot of workshops. I believe this is his first foray away from that archetype, trying to play something different, but it's still going to attack. And that's something that when you can move step by step through the format and kind of build skills in a certain area and then transition to the next one, it can be helpful compared to going from, say, workshops to combo, where now all of the skills that you developed are pretty much just
totally
left
different
behind.
Because this is still this deck's disruption is still permanent based.
Yes.
And you're going to turn guys sideways to end the game.
Yeah, going from Lodestone Golem to Thalia isn't a radical change. I mean, the deck is very, very different, but it's going to get some of the same type of wins where you're able to land a Thalia, wasteland them out, and make it so they don't play any spells.
No mulligan. That was 7.
We got 7 on both sides. Nice Spellground playmat there. I don't see very many of those anymore.
What's that from? Is that just a...
Those are a really old, one of the earliest Magic accessories. And you see them altered sometimes. They'll people will bring them to artists and have them alter it a lot of the time with a Sharpie, and just do like a single color. Yeah, just like a single color sketch, and the contrast is strong on those, and they wear unbelievably well. So.
All right, so Borg is taking a mulligan. I just knew it ahead of time. Thinking about his 6. Okay, he's keeping his 6.
Looks like an easy keep there. Got some acceleration, double blue.
Does he have Drain? Drain would be a cool reason to keep a double blue hand.
Yeah, if you can accelerate into something like a Jace, it's really, really strong. I think that's the reason why we're not going to see it in Legacy, is just the ability to drain into Jace is pretty savage.
Yeah, I mean, I know in the online Holiday Cube, Drain is like one of the top 10 picks anyways, because people always picked Counterspell, and Drain is strictly just better with the loss of mana burn. Now it's strictly better.
So we've got a Soul Ring here.
No misstep in his hand. That'd be a good misstep target.
Mystical.
That's gonna grab an Ancestral.
Yeah, these are the times where I really like to have Tinker in the deck. Versus a deck like this, which is going to have a hard time answering it. Like turn 1 Mystical for Tinker and just jam it. And then if they can't answer, that's it.
Lightsteel is extremely strong. But there's nothing wrong with drawing 3 cards.
And Josh isn't going to be able to have anything to say about that. Even post-board, we don't see any missteps.
So Borg was on the play with 6 cards. We got 1, 2, 3 of them, so he should have 3 in hand. So he's going to draw that 4th card, play it. Yeah, I think I main phase. I think I main phase that definitely, because it gives you more options when you decide to play your land. Right now he could evoke an Ingot Chewer. I'm sorry, I always say that wrong. Get rid of that Sol Ring.
Yeah, that's definitely one line. The other option is he's so close to 5 mana, it may be a reasonable play to just hard cast it and get rid of the Sol Ring. If you're using it now, I think you're hoping to just randomly land screw your opponent.
Yep.
Which, on a keep of 7, is iffy.
I think he's thinking about it.
I think if he's fetching there, that's definitely what he's going to do. Otherwise, there's really not too much of a point. You can keep that fetch land, and that would protect you from Wasteland, potentially get multiple fetch lands in place. So he's looking to go with the mana denial. Doesn't think the 3/3 body is going to be too relevant here. And maybe he doesn't have enough mana in his hand to make that line reasonable.
Right. And
though we do see a tropical island, so...
Turn 2, he could have... I don't know what he named with the... Probably humans.
So we've got a Thalia.
Thalia happens.
First strike, Lodestone Golem. Wins combat all day long versus pretty much any creature in Borg's deck here. But we have a Dark Blast. That's is gonna
spicy.
Wow, looking over this humans list, that looks like an amazing card.
Borg is not pulling any punches.
Wow, Dark Blast, that's gonna kill Dark Confidant, Mare, Thalia, Noble Hierarch. That is just capable of taking out almost anything that Josh is gonna be able to put out. He's still gonna have Mistcutter Hydra and Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah, 3. I don't even... That's
there's the Knight. So the Dark Blast is trumped back and forth here.
He doesn't have any lands in the graveyard.
Yeah, the Dark Blast could potentially kill him with a little bit of card drawing.
He would need like a Brainstorm.
He's going to need double black possibly. So what you're going to need is do it during your upkeep and then dredge it back for your draw step. That's a pretty simple way of getting that done.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to Demonic for some sort of answer. Maybe a Dismember or...
Snapcaster would be nice.
Snapcaster, yeah.
Snapcaster and flashback the Ancestral. Now that Deathrite Shaman is going to keep that Noble Hierarch largely in check, but he opts to just bolt it right now.
And what's he tapping the more mana for? Oh, gaining life.
Both players using our impromptu life totals here. We appreciate that.
Not fancy, but it got the job done. Some power.
Yeah, these budget decks so often, I shouldn't say budget, these types of decks, like the Hate Bear type decks, so often are run without power. When you actually throw a full set of power in there, it really changes things. You have the ability to land multiple threats in a single turn. Cards like Mistcutter Hydra become much more attractive. So we've got a Sensei's Divining Top. That threatens to turn this game around. That's going to do a lot of digging, especially in a deck with a lot of threats like this. Kind of balance it in between which threats are the most effective and then any potential answers that he might have boarded in as well.
The top's interesting as a one of, but that's one of those things that you could easily switch out for a ancestral.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And in this case, he would have the blue. Both games, he would have the blue.
But with the top, he's got fetch lands, he's got night activations. Like, you can really do some serious digging with this.
So this is just punches back and forth. I mean, we've got, you know, the Sensei's top, and it's like, oh no, that's going to turn the game around. He's going to outdraw you, and it's like, no, this is what outdrawing looks like. Jace the Mind Sculptor, literally brainstorming every turn into an empty board. The only thing I could see Mistcutter Hydra coming down, turn this into a complete slugfest.
Yep.
Just back and forth bombs here.
Well, I mean, Mistcutter Hydra would just trade with a death right for a turn. He's still going to get another activation out of Jace. Oh,
no,
never
not
mind.
Necessarily.
Sorry, folks. That's not what's going to happen.
So, Mistcutter Hydra would just be perfect here.
Yeah, and he doesn't spin top on his end step, which is like... Did he already look with it?
I think he may have a line figured out here.
Yeah.
Very, very often when that's the case, you've already got a line in your head, and you're like, this is definitely what I'm going to do.
Oh, tap to draw. Stuff's going down.
Be a Mistcutter Hydra.
He doesn't have green mana, because his cavern is likely naming humans.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless he decided that the white mana was... I don't know. No, it's got to be naming humans.
I mean, it's also mana fixing in the deck. There's black, white, and green humans. It's got to be on humans as often as possible. So we've got 3 mana. Just night. Yeah, that's too bad.
I wonder why he tapped to draw then. Did he just... Was it like a sequencing issue?
I think if I had to bet on it, I bet you he had Mistcutter Hydra and just didn't realize he didn't have the green. That's what that looked like to me.
Yeah.
I don't see much value in the tap to draw there. I mean, I could stretch to think of something like playing around Croson Grip, but there's no way. So that Death Right is
just coming in.
Just swinging for the fences. Drawing a Sensei's top for turn here.
Borg's got a basic mountain going on over there. Like, that is the boldest mana base. That is so bold.
Well, that's what Deathrite Shaman and City of Brass let you do. You're just able to play all of these different colors. In my opinion, the jury's still out on that. You know, we've seen the stripped down versions like Rug do well. We've seen Merfolk just mono blue be able to compete. We really haven't seen much of these 4-color/5-color monstrosities consistently work over time. And I think it can work in the short term, but I do feel like you're going to lose some games to your own mana base. And we did see that game 1 with Borg. Any deck can get land screwed, but that may be the case a little bit more with these types. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, he's bounced around from original Noblefish into a bug deck. He's played... what was the other one? I think he might have played Bomberman for a little bit. I mean, there's been a lot of different blue aggro decks that Borg has tried, and this is kind of taking elements from all of them and smashing them together.
View reveal. Another Bob.
So Jace makes multiple Bobs a pretty reasonable line as long as you can keep them around.
Yeah. Let me brainstorm real quick.
Put some low casting cost stuff on top and jam a Dark Confidant. Start drawing 4 cards a turn.
Yeah, like even Mistcutter Hydra probably doesn't quite get there at this point. It might, because it you know, if he has 3 toughness, then he kind of goes over the top of Borg's team. Borg is just not respecting that, though. Well, no, if he drops another Bob, then he can double block a 3-power Mistcutter Hydra and trade. No, because it's 1 toughness, so it'd still kill both creatures. Oh no, but I guess in Borg's position, like you do kind of have to start chipping away. He's got the black mana open for his Deathrite. He's got, he's looking at 4 damage per turn while leaving up a blocker. That's respectable, actually.
The Sensei's Divining Top does cut off the line, or at least the effectiveness of Fate Sealing with Jace. Typically, in a situation like this, you might consider Fate Sealing without the Dark Confidants. The synergy there, obviously, you're going to brainstorm. But just in general, when you're this far ahead, Fate Sealing could allow you to just make sure your opponent never gets back into it. And Sensei's Top mitigates that, so he's pretty much stuck on brainstorming. He could potentially Fate Seal himself. That would be the only way to really get any utility out of that. So this...
That's that's right there we're looking at, like, do you remember that you have Dark Blast in your graveyard? Or, do you like the cards on top of your library?
Yeah, Dark Blast is really eliminating a lot of the ways that Josh could potentially get back into this.
The fact that he was able to use Snapcaster to do that, like, he just increased the clock by a full turn, I think. Because what does he have on... Ooh, that's a... Probably could have done some... Oh.
He just Vamp? Oh, he flipped Vamp and then he flipped Force, yeah. So he could have used the Vamp to get, like, Time Walk or something. That would have been a really solid line.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that actually would have been lethal, because he would have had the double Deathrite activation. It would have been 8 and 8.
Yeah. Yep, 8 and 8 does it. It makes 16.
A lot of ways Borg could set this up in order to win. Pretty much anything involving Time Walk is going to be game over.
Jace Brainstorm or Time Walk into his hands.
Absolutely.
Can he do that? Let's see, Vamp.
Yep. He's got the double black.
Yeah, his double black, so he can still activate.
But he's using Deathrite Shaman to remove a land here to go for the Yogg-Will.
Now, Yogg-Will in a deck like this, I mean, it's good, but I'm not sure it's 100% correct. Like, I think he could probably... I think he gets enough value off of his spells through the use of Snapcaster, where he's like applying pressure. Like, I think Yogg-Will could probably just be like a fat creature or a removal spell.
I side with the Yogg-Will.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's, if you're gonna play these type of greedy mana bases, you want the most powerful spells possible. And that fat creature really isn't just gonna win the game on the spot. I'm not saying this was the best use of Yawgmoth's Will. I mean, he had the game sewed up. He could have vamped for Time Walk, activated Deathrite Shaman. The game is in the bag. Right now, he's just taking whatever line he thinks is going to be good enough. But yeah, I think Yogg-Will is the type of card where you can just throw that out there in the middle of a really brutal game and just get there. Just, with the, in that instance, you got Vamp Tutor, Ancestral. There's just so much you could do to just steal a game. But he's in such great shape. It's almost like no matter what he does here, he's going to be fine. As long as his own Dark Confidants don't kill him. He still has that Dark Blast available. We've got 6. And Mistcutter Hydra's still a card.
Yeah.
But not going to do a ton. If he's able to kill Jace, then those Dark Confidants could become a real threat to his life total. And of course, the Mistcutter Hydra could start to sit back on defense versus the Snapcaster Mage. You wouldn't want to kill the Dark Confidants, but it could get complicated.
Going to discard.
Deathrite Shaman hedges quite a bit against that as well, though, because you've got the life gain built in if you're able to trade off some of your guys. So City of Brass everywhere. There's finally the Mistcutter Hydra.
Bye, Jace.
Been waiting for him all game. I feel like he was there. That's the only reason I could have seen that tapping to draw. This mana base could make your head spin if you're trying to play it too quickly, especially going from a colorless deck like Mud to a 3-color, just crazy mana base.
Yeah, Borg just not taking any damage. Revealed a strip mine in a wasteland. I think you get rid of that city right here. Abrupt Decay.
All the answers.
Just attacking with Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Well, you could go either way. You're gonna either use the activation.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
There we go.
During the upkeep, as long as you're killing before the Dark Confidant flip, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Though you have the Brainstorm off of the Jace anyways. But it does play around something like Extirpate to get like a shuffle effect before you draw. I guess Extirpate would have been one of the few cards that would have mattered there because you could respond to the Deathrite activation by extirpating to get the shuffle if they were targeting their own graveyard.
Yeah, at 12 life it's tough, but like if he was at 10, you could randomly get the double force.
Yeah, I don't even think in Borg's list there's anything that could kill him from 12, you're right. One of the nice things about not running Blightsteel is not randomly losing to it.
Greatness at any cost.
Yeah, Borg is making some adjustments. I think Josh is going to do that as well here.
Well, now that he has actual information. Before he just saw, what did he see? Volcanic Island, like Strip Mine, Mistcutter Hydra, Scoop.
Yeah, Volcanic Island does not tell very much information about a deck these days.
And he saw a Lightning Bolt too, though. Saw a Lightning Bolt. So that's automatically not combo. That's some sort of blue-red that's definitely... I would have put him on a Rug list. I'm like, oh, that's Rug right there. And I would have been wrong.
Yeah, Rug is probably the most likely thing. It's either that or Grixis.
Or Grixis, yeah.
And Borg's deck is definitely more... I don't know if I'd call it more Grixis-like or more Bug-like. It's tough to say, because it's got the Abrupt Decays and the Lightning Bolts. Those seem to be the defining cards. It's almost the question of which one would you rather play. Borg just says, I'll play both.
Yeah.
Just kill all the things.
Just the classiest removal. You don't get to gain life like with Swords to Plowshares. Abrupt Decay is so good. I mean, versus Chalice of the Void when you're playing a bunch of like 1 and 2 drops to win the game. Like, oh, I guess I can Abrupt Decay that. Lightning Bolt maintains versatility in the creature matchups, planeswalker matchups, and it just closes out the game, especially when you buy it back with Snapcaster. For 1 mana, it just does so much. I think it's definitely worth a couple of lands. He's already playing the Deathrite Shaman, so you already have that access. And then what did he throw in? Like
Cities of Brass, yeah.
Like 2 City of Brass and 1 Volcanic Island. Like,
yeah, well, it also lets you play both Trigon Predator and Ancient Grudge. Like, you get like all of the best cards. They're not necessarily the most synergistic, but on their own, they're definitely the most powerful.
And he plays Mana Drain. Like, what deck punishes this real hard? Something that plays like Wasteland and what? What punishes this?
Well, I agree that the attacking the mana base, Wasteland, backed up by something like Life from the Loam is a nightmare. And the problem with that is Deathrite Shaman kind of answers that. So Life from the Loam goes to the bin. Unless you're able to respond by drawing a card, it's going to be really difficult to counter those. And you're really just only going to be able to do that for so long. It's not like a Legacy deck where you've got 4 Brainstorms and you could play all of these cat and mouse games where you're able to respond and get the cards back. It's pretty much going into the bin, and Deathrite's going to get rid of it, put an end to those shenanigans.
Wow. Yeah. So like playing multicolored decks has really evolved. I mean, Deathrite Shaman, he just changed the whole game.
Yeah, he's like a mini Planeswalker. He has a bunch of abilities. His ultimate is attacking. I mean, the guy's good for 1 mana. Better than Tibalt.
Way better than Tibalt. Has anyone ever tried to play Tibalt? Like ever, in any format?
I'm sure someone probably played Sorin versus Tibalt at some point. that must have happened.
Yeah.
So that dual deck is brutal too, because like Sorin was like legitimately like a standard powerhouse at the time.
Oh, Sorin's a good planeswalker.
He's just solid. Like he's legacy playable for sure. And yeah, just Tibalt, like yeah, here you go.
You know what planeswalker I don't think gets nearly enough love as he deserves is a Johnny Fenton.
Yeah, that guy's good. So we got Borg off of a library here.
You just activate it on his turn?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got
there
the
we go.
Mox to follow it up.
All right. Josh is opened up with the higher. Oh, what the heck?
Ancestral.
And
Bam.
show you the mystical.
Yeah. Don't care.
Upkeep. And he's got the Dark Blast. So this is looking pretty strong for Borg here. He's got Library, a Resolved Ancestral, and he's facing down just the Noble Hierarch. So for Josh, I think the best possible play here is like a land, maybe a Soul Ring, and then a Mistcutter Hydra. We got a Stony Silence, which gets forced.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that he's going to be able to force with that Cavern out.
No, Stony Silence is definitely not a human, though.
I believe the Noble Hierarch tapped for that.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got the Wasteland. All right, so Library's not going to just run away with this game without a Yawgmoth's Will or something to get it back.
Black Lotus happens.
So Borg, all the plays are there. He's got the mana for just about anything. Now those Hierarchs, worst case scenario, can attack for 2 a turn. So he has a presence. Josh has a presence and he has mana. So that Dark Blast is pretty good here. Back down. Now he's crippling his mana base and his clock with that Dark Blast, and that other Hierarchs, its days are numbered. It's almost certainly going to be worth the dredging just to get back the Dark Blast here and just really try and close it out.
Taking your opponent from 4 mana to 2 mana when you're trying to play X casting cost creatures seems...
Oh, look at this.
You're going to have to spend the Lotus if you want.
Yeah, that's...
And the Knight. Now Knight is a big deal. Because, what has he got? He's got double Wasteland in his graveyard right now.
Yeah.
So he's a 4/4, and he's going to start... Well, no, he doesn't control any plains or forests, but...
Oh, he's just going to start swinging for 5.
Yeah.
So we've got the dredging of the Dark Blast. Hopefully Borg has another black source in his hand, because spending Lotus on this would be brutal.
I'm sure he does. Unless... I mean, if you go Lotus, Dark Blast, Dark Confident...
That's fine.
It's not the worst.
Oh.
Bolt. And...
I don't follow what happened there. Let's see if we can figure this out.
He bolted the 4/4 Knight. Borg. Yes. Bolt my 4... No.
Okay.
Oh, he Dark Blasted
bolted and Dark Blasted it.
And just burned the other 2. Oh.
I don't know if I like that.
Oh, 3 for 1.
Losing the Lotus there when your mana base has already been really compromised.
Yeah. I mean...
Josh's deck is capable of just spitting out a stream of creatures. Value here is going to be a huge problem unless you get more mana on board.
Dredge... I mean, you're already committed to killing all the creatures right now.
Yeah.
It's got land drops.
Alright. So this is... Oh, was that a Wasteland
2 lands.
Waste and a city? There we go. Josh is on top of
it. Not today.
That is not a spell, sir. It feels like it. Feels like Stone Rain. It's funny. I love that card. Stone Rain. Love it. I can't believe that it doesn't actually exist in Magic anymore. They just don't print cards like that. When I first started playing, that was just of course. That's just part of the game. Alright, so we got Evoke. This is the most spiteful game ever. Yeah. Just destroying mana. I mean, talk about Stone Rain. That's how it used to be back in the day. Back and forth, wrecking mana bases, and then somebody starting to build up. And then you have Armageddon is a possibility.
Oh, he doesn't even get to make a land drop. Oh, Time Walk, 2 mana draw a card.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's so good, though. I mean, worst case scenario, it's still a free draw card.
And untap your lands.
Yep.
Strip. What are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Just go for it. All right.
No more uncounterable creatures.
You make a plan and you stick to it. I guess that's fine.
He's got City of Brass. He can cast almost anything in the deck.
Yeah.
The only thing would be Jace the Mind Sculptor. He draws the Emerald for that. He's fine.
Oh, no Jace? Come on. What do you even have in your hand right now? He must have a bunch of counter spells.
Not a bunch, right? Is it just one card?
Does he only have one
I
card?
think, yeah, he's almost hellbent.
Oh. It's probably like a mana drain.
City of Brass.
Just drain this. It's a Mistcutter Hydra though, so you can't.
Oh, there's the knight.
It's not a drain.
And after all of this debacle, that knight has to be enormous.
It's probably like a 7/7.
This guy's going to close the game out in a couple of turns if unanswered. Good call on the 7/7.
Nice.
So Borg, if he activates the city both turns, is looking at a 2-turn clock.
He just fetched.
He's fetched, so he's got one more City of Brass activation left in him.
What could he possibly get right now?
Jace would be lovely.
Yeah, Jace would be
Just
good.
bounce him.
But
fine.
like he would have played Jace last turn and he missed the land drop, so it's not Jace.
Yep.
Like, so why do you even fetch at this point?
I think he's probably just thinning out the deck. I'm not a big fan of that line. Some people feel like it's worth it, the slight incremental edge. I think the loss of the option later to fetch is not generally worth it. It does depend on how many lands are left in your deck, obviously.
Maybe he's going to block with a Snapcaster. He just doesn't have any really excellent spells to... No. That's not what's going on.
He's going to 8. Very clearly illustrated there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go. That makes sense.
He's just sitting on a force. So he just didn't have 5 mana to force that last night.
Yep.
And that's good.
Yeah, there we go.
Alright, so Junk Humans showing up to party.
That is a crazy deck.
Bring your own Bob. Alright, that was round 2. We'll meet you guys back here for round 3.